Welcome back, everybody, to another Lockup Reality Check episode of Lockdown 23 in 1. That's right, today's story's coming from Mississippi. An inmate lost his life in a very strange way, and a Latin King gang member is taking full responsibility for it, but the way that he said it went down is gonna blow your mind and show you the reality of lockup. It doesn't matter where you're at, from Mississippi to Rikers Island. There's always gonna be some dirt running around, that's for sure. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. It says, for months, Chancellor Barong, a 26-year-old in prison for assault and kidnapping, has been trying to tell authorities that he killed a man in Mississippi jail 7 years ago. He told a prison guard that he had information about the crime, attempted to confess to a detective, and gave a written confession to a prison warden. But he said that the agents with the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, the state agency that typically investigates in-custody deaths, took no action. And look, a lot of people might find that as a red flag. You know, you got an inmate saying that he killed someone, but they're not doing no investigation. It kind of is, but at the same time, you'd be surprised how many inmates claim they killed someone, but had nothing to do with it whatsoever. They might want notoriety for a popular case, or maybe they just want to get shipped to a new compound. But this one, if I were to guess, is definitely not that kind of situation. It goes on to say in an interview, Mr. Barong said that he attacked William Wade Aycock at the request of a guard in 2018. You know, in lockup, for the most part, it's a cat and mouse game. Inmates don't like the COs and vice versa. But in many establishments, almost all of them across the country, there's some COs, correctional officers, that get themselves a little bit deeper into the mix, get personal relationships with inmates, sometimes gang members, and have them do things that they can't do, possibly dirty work. Who cares, man? It's gang members attacking that guy. It's no biggie. They have no idea that a correctional officer sent them, right? This is the kind of situation that this inmate's saying is going on, which, if it is, ladies and gentlemen, Rankin County Jail is absolutely filthy with dirty correctional officers. It says previous reports on the Rankin County Adult Detention Center, where Mr. Aycock died, revealed that for years, guards relied on some inmates as an attack squad to help keep order and retaliate against troublemakers, just like what I just said. I have not read this article in full yet, I promise you that. It says a review of the initial investigation of the death reveals that the authorities took steps that could have hindered a full accounting of what happened. Guards and inmates cleaned the cell where Mr. Aycock died with bleach before the state investigators arrived. Now, why on God's green earth would you do that? A crime scene, an inmate's dead, and they send inmates in there to clean up the whole scene. With bleach at that, you know how hard it is to get bleach in jail? Has to come from the staff. So this right here, if you were to ask me, is probably the biggest red flag of them all. In addition to the NBI's investigation file, contains no photos of the cell, no security camera footage, and no notes from interviews with inmates. When stuff like that happens, I mean, it's screaming cover up. The places I've seen, if someone was murdered, they're going to do a huge investigation. Not to mention, if they were stabbed or something like that, man, they're taking photos of the weapon or the wound, everything. It doesn't take them to die for them to do all these investigations and reports. But we got someone here that did, found in a pool of blood, and they did absolutely nothing. Well, they did interviews and stuff like that, but they didn't log not one piece of it. Days after the death, NBI agents and the state medical examiner determined that Mr. Aycock died by accident after falling off of his bunk bed, without documenting the evidence that led them to this conclusion. And of course, if I were to guess, by saying it's an accident, you know, the logbook doesn't need to be too detailed, does it? It's almost like an alibi. Not to mention, when it's accidental, you're going to avoid all kinds of lawsuits. Now, Mr. Barong's account is the latest allegation of wrongdoing by law enforcement in Rankin County, a Jackson suburb, where sheriff's deputies have been accused of torturing suspected drug users. And that makes sense, usually, typically. If there's a lot of dirt with these street officers, it typically bleeds into the jails as well with the COs. It's like one big, happy, demented family. Not all of them, of course, you know, but this area definitely doesn't have a good track record, does it? But it continues saying that Mr. Barong, a member of the Latin King Street gang with a long criminal record, said that in June 2018, he yanked a sleeping Mr. Aycock off the top bunk in his cell, slammed him to the floor, and stomped on his head. He said he never intended to kill the man, just to send him a message to keep his mouth shut. Mr. Brong said he has come forward out of the sense of guilt. For 7 years, he said he had gotten away with the crime, in part because of missteps in the investigation. Shortly after killing Mr. Aycock, he watched a group of inmates and guards soak up the blood, which had passed the cell door, and they doused the cell in bleach. A former inmate named John Phillips said he cleaned the cell before the NBI arrived and compared the scene to a horror film. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I told a story on this channel where I almost caught myself a little body. Thank God I didn't, man. I'd still be in there whipping up ramens to this day. But they put me in this new block with like 10 cells, 2 man apiece. So you got one cellie in there, right? And the guy that I got, his name was Chucky. He was very strange, man. Older guy, but he had a mentality of like a damn 12-year-old. And when he talked, he would like drool out the side of his mouth, man. Just very strange, weird, red flag kind of guy, right? But he was my cellie, and he seemed, other than, a mental mindset of a 12-year-old, he was pretty normal, right? Until one night, I'm not going to break into details, I caught him doing something above me because he was sleeping on the top rack, and I grabbed him and slammed him to the ground when I seen what he was doing. He was knocked out flat cold, man. I'm not gonna lie, the anger got the best of me. I slapped him a couple times and he came back around. So what I'm trying to say here is, sometimes yes, you could yoke someone off the top rack and kill him without even meaning to. But this guy took an extra step, right? He stomped on his head immediately after the fact. That's probably what signed, sealed, and delivered his fate. It continues saying when investigators arrived, they were angrily talking with each other about the fact that the whole cell had been bleached. The NBI's investigation report on Mr. Aycock's death provided by Mr. Tyndall makes no mention of the cleanup. Mr. Tyndall said that he spoke with an agent responsible for the report, who said he did not recall the cell being cleaned or seeing men enter Mr. Aycock's cell in the security camera footage. Mr. Tyndall said that the footage was not preserved by the NBI. Picture that. Details missing from the report, like pictures of Mr. Aycock's cell and security camera footage, could have led examiners to a different conclusion. The NBI had an opportunity to reopen the case in 2022 when an inmate eyewitness told a Rankin County Sheriff's Department detective that he had seen Mr. Barong and another inmate leave Mr. Aycock's cell moments before guards found him lying in a pool of blood. The witness, who was being held in jail in 2018, spoke to reporters on the condition of anonymity, citing fears of retaliation from Mr. Barong's associates, the Latin Kings. Mr. Aycock's parents said that they have long suspected that their son was killed. They described him as a jokester and as a loving father to his 2 daughters. While grateful to have more answers about their son's death, they said that they were left with questions about how the sheriff's office and the NBI investigated the case. Me too, I would feel so salty and betrayed by the system. I would lose complete trust in it. And this is why, a lot of people, family, generations upon generations, start looking at individuals a certain kind of way, maybe because something's happened to them or their family throughout the past, and they kind of embed it with them, tell the story, and embed it into their kids. And now you got lifelong hate building up. That's how I would have felt, man, if my son was killed and there was no investigations done on it, and I got inmates telling me this, that, and the third, and it's all making sense. I'd lose all hope in all kinds of works of process. But my condolences, of course, go out to the family members, mother and father of Mr. Aycock. I can't even imagine the emotional roller coaster they're going through. But it says, while incarcerated at the state facility, Kemper County this year, Mr. Barong said that he told Sheriff's Detective Steve Windish that he wanted to share more information about Mr. Aycock's death. Mr. Barong said that he and other inmates in his cell block were interviewed by NBI agents the day after Mr. Aycock's death, but he did not confess at the time. Mr. Barong said that he also began confessing to Wilkinson County Correctional Facility guard, but the guard interrupted him and said it's above my pay grade. Mr. Barong also said that several of his associates in the Latin King Street gang assisted in a fatal assault by leading Mr. Aycock's cellmate away from their cell and keeping watch while Mr. Barong slipped inside. Now, why on earth would he ever implement anybody a part of his own organization into the mix? If I were to guess, it's probably because he's in bad standing with these individuals. If not, he definitely has to be now, saying that his homies had something to do with it as well. Man, the possibilities now could be endless. Or maybe just a conviction alone. Maybe he had a change of heart, change of pace of life in jail. Wants to do things the right way, right? It opens up like a book, confesses to everything, exactly how it went down. That could be a very good possibility as well. Believe it or not, a lot of people after they kill someone, man, they are tormented day and night until they confess. And sometimes even after that. But Mr. Barong continues saying after slamming Mr. Aycock to the floor, he stomped on his head as blood poured from his nose and ears. He could hear Mr. Aycock struggling to breathe as he fled the cell, and that sound still haunts him to this day, like I just said.
I snatched him off the rack, threw him to the ground, and I stomped on his head, and I cannot take his voice in my dreams anymore. It's torturing me. I know they don't want it to come out, and that's why I know that this is my only option anymore.
Those images and sounds some people will never, ever be able to remove from their mind. The former inmate who witnessed the encounter said that Mr. Barong and another inmate fled the cell. One of them had blood on his clothes. After the attack, Mr. Barong said that he returned to his own cell, showered, and used the sharp edge of his bunk bed frame to cut his uniform into strips so that it would make it easier to be flushed down the toilet. And this is 100% a tactic to get rid of evidence. Break it down into smaller pieces so it goes down the drain. The account of the former inmate who witnessed the events largely aligned with Mr. Barong's, but it differed in one significant way: the motive for the attack. Mr. Barong said that the jail guard who recruited him to attack Mr. Aycock did not explain why. But the former inmate said that he overheard the men involved, including Mr. Barong, plan the attack because they believed Mr. Aycock was cooperating with investigators who were pursuing a case against one of them. Rankin County jail records show after Mr. Aycock, the victim, was arrested on a burglary charge, a detective separated him from other inmates so that he could be questioned. During that time, at least 3 other people were arrested in connection with the same burglary. Jail records show that one of them was housed in the same cell block as Mr. Aycock. 3 former guards said that they violated a standard practice at the jail of separating inmates arrested together to prevent them from fabricating alibis or harming each other. Man, oh man, so the rabbit hole gets deeper, doesn't it? You got one inmate, a Latin king, saying that he killed another inmate because a CO told him to, but he can't break down exactly why. That right there is kind of throwing me off of everything that this guy's saying. If you're going to break down all these details and implement your own gang members but not go into depth onto why the CO told you to attack this guy, makes no sense whatsoever. But this eyewitness said that he overheard these guys talking about killing him to keep his mouth shut. That makes perfect sense, especially after he said that his co-Ds were in the same cell block as him, right? So he gets pulled out by these detectives in the cell block, and his co-Ds seeing it like, what? Where's he going? Everybody knows either attorney visit or detectives. It's a weekday, it ain't visitation. So he goes down there, comes back, later on, probably the co-D in the cell block gets pulled out as well. But he ain't going to talk to nobody, he's going down to booking to get some fresh charges, if I were to guess. And if that's the case, they put him back in the cell block, yeah. If dude's connected to the Latin Kings and finds out dude just dropped dime on him, it's all bad. I know this is kind of a complicated and twisted story, but I'm honestly still trusting the inmate on this situation. I'm thinking maybe he didn't break down or elaborate why the correctional officer gave him the order to attack him, because maybe he's at fear for his own life now. You know, you don't want to go into the deeper side of the CO things. I don't know. Or maybe he'll break it down later on in the courtroom. He don't want to put all his ducats out until it goes to trial, right? Come out with a little plea bargain or something. I don't know. One thing's for sure, though, they got to get some checks and balances going on with old Rankin County. Yep, a new sheriff needs to get in town, do a clean sweep, get shit back in order. Once again, though, like I said, my condolences go out to the victim's family and friends. Not to mention his children, man. 2 daughters got to be raised without their father. And these type of stories hit me a little harder because I got 4 daughters, right? I can't imagine them growing up without me. But this story is a prime example of what's going on across the country in many facilities. Dirty, twisted situations and inmates losing their life left and right. A lot of people look at it like, man, who cares? They're just inmates. But, you know, they weren't sentenced to death. I was an inmate numerous times. I was a jailbird. I turned my life around and have a happy family, and I tried to look at other inmates like they could do it too. If you look at it like that, man, it'd probably change your whole perspective on things. Inmate or not, we're people, and people can definitely change. I'm out here though, ladies and gentlemen, got a bomb cyclone snowstorm on its way. East Tennessee was able to duck that last ice storm. I think Nashville is like still out of power. Temps in the teens too. Yeah, I'd be sleeping in the bourbon. Hotboxing that jank. I'm just playing. But yeah, hopefully we can avoid this one because any kind of snow or ice in these mountains, hills, bridges and stuff, man, it makes stuff pretty much impossible out here. I'm glad I'm not in Virginia Beach no more. They're supposed to be getting railed by this thing. Gotta call my brother tomorrow, find out what's shaking out there. But stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. The next episode's gonna be some more shocking prison news coming your way. You don't want to miss it, and the only way not to is to hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. And more importantly than anything, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.